Today we're tackling a big subject, and it's one that's very near and dear to my heart, and I feel like it's something that's very important to be addressed. So with all due respect to everybody's beliefs and everybody's personal preferences when it comes to religion and faith, I'm just going to share my journey, what I have experienced, what I have learned, what I believe to be true, and what I have chosen to practice in my own life, the reason why I've chosen to practice this, and we're just going to see how it goes. So, for myself, growing up, I felt a separation between myself and God, myself and the Christian community. I felt something that I can see now as, from that perspective back then, I mistook people that were following a faith. What I saw them do was one thing, and what I saw them talk about was another. And the two never really lined up. And some groups were very welcoming, and some groups I felt very safe with and very accepted in. And other groups, I felt a little bit more judgment. I felt, I saw a lot of fingers pointed at other people and what they were doing that might be out of alignment, but not so much taking full responsibility for their own actions. And I grew up just kind of feeling like, if that's what this religion is all about, I'm not really interested in being a part of it, because I believe things a little bit different. I believe that everybody is deserving. I believe that everybody is inherently good, and I believe that if you are a good person, you deserve good things, and not just because you ascribe to a certain set of beliefs and rules and regulations. So throughout my journey, I was just trying to figure out where my place was in this world. I was trying to figure out what it was that I really did believe and what I would stand behind, and what other religions offered the beliefs that I shared. And I took a world religions class when I was in college, and my world got broadened greatly because I was exposed to religions beyond Christianity. And I found that a lot of Eastern religions actually embodied a lot of the beliefs that I felt in my heart to be true. But still, there was a separation. There was no one religion that I could look at and be like, yes, sign me up for this one, because every single thing that you're saying I believe to be true in my heart, and I believe it's something that I can follow. So I did get my perspectives broadened a bit, but I still was feeling that separation. That little dividing line between myself and the rest of a religious community. So again, as my journey continued, I kind of adopted like a universal perspective, and I really felt that what I believed was the same thing as what other religions believed. It's just I didn't feel comfortable using the languages that they used. I didn't even feel comfortable necessarily talking about God. I didn't feel comfortable talking about Jesus, although all along I was a huge fan of what Jesus was teaching. And in my adult life, I finally connected a couple pieces together. And I realized that just the followers of any religion are just human beings, just like myself. We make good decisions, we make bad decisions, we strive to be kind to other people, it doesn't always work out. And when I realized that just because you ascribe to a certain religion does not mean that you are flawless all the time, it means that you're human and that you're on this journey, and it's something that you're always striving for. And when I realized, I'm a huge fan of Jesus' teachings, and I'm a huge fan of these other religious teachings that were being passed down generation to generation through different religions, I realized, gosh, there's not so much separation anymore between myself and the rest of these communities. But I still felt, because I wasn't willing to I just didn't really consider myself a Christian in the sense that I was taught of what a Christian was, even though I was a follower of Christ's teachings. So a beautiful, amazing mentor of mine a couple of years ago introduced me to a different perspective on Jesus' teachings. And he opened my eyes to the Aramaic translations of what Jesus would have actually been saying in the time that Jesus walked the earth. And it just totally was a different perspective. It was different than the Greek translations. It was different than the Hebrew translations. It was different than what I was reading word for word, literally black and white on a page out of a Bible. It was different than what I was hearing at church. Similar, similar, but just a lot deeper. And what this mentor taught me was that in the time that Jesus walked the earth, it was not a written language, it was a spoken language. And probably many of you are already familiar with this, but this was kind of a new concept for me. And with this spoken language, as it got translated into Greek, into Hebrew, as it got modified and printed on paper, it lost some of its depth. It lost some of its meaning. And from what I can tell, it was just kind of, we take this one word in Aramaic that could have 200 different translations. It can have multiple meanings and it can have dual meanings. Well, one meaning had to be decided on to put it into print and put it onto paper. And that truth is still there. It's still printed on the paper. The message is still encapsulated in that beautiful work that it has turned into being. But there's some depths and some insights that are missing, and I feel that that's why there are so many Christians that I have met throughout my days that read the Bible, but they still need somebody to explain it to them. Jesus taught in parables. A lot of the things, it was hard for me, so I'm sure other people have had this struggle of taking things that would have been said back in the time that it was decided on how to write out the story and to apply it into modern day society. So when I had this breakthrough with the Aramaic translations of what Jesus has taught, my whole world just kind of came together. All those little gaps along the way that I felt were being, the lines of religions were making, all of them got dissolved. And I found that what Jesus was teaching and what Muhammad was teaching, and I also learned that Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad, who is the founder of the Islam religion that the Muslims follow to this day, that Muhammad was a huge fan of Jesus. And he followed Jesus around and he studied under Jesus and he got his own interpretation of what Jesus was teaching, and that's what the heart of the Quran is. So whenever I learned that, I was like, gosh, all these different religions, I've looked into Hinduism, I've looked into Buddhism, I've looked into pretty much all of them. And I have found some similarities. And these similarities aren't talked about on CNN. They're not discussed in some groups. I'm sure there's plenty of groups out there that are sharing the same message that I bring to you, and I definitely commend them. But what I found is that there were some common ground between all the religions that I looked at. The main common grounds that I found were that all the major religions that I have looked into believe that there's just one source of life. Christians refer to it as God. Muslims refer to it as Allah, which is the Arabic word meaning for God. And Hindus have varying different gods, but there's still one creator of life, just one source of life. So to me, if I say God in English or if I say God in Arabic, to me I'm still saying the same word. This is me. This is how I interpret it. Feel free to make your own decisions. When I realized that they were all coming down to the belief that there is one source, the second belief that I found to be true and common throughout all of them is that life is about a journey of reconnecting and becoming one with that one creator. So it's a journey of searching, aligning yourself with, and reconnecting and bringing yourself back around to the source of creation. And to me, feeling the separation, feeling the inadequacies, feeling the judgments, feeling the hypocrisies that can come about between this is what I believe, so listen to what I tell you I believe, but my actions are going to say a different story. To me, when I realized, we're all saying the same thing. We're all believing in our own language, in our own experience, in what resonates within us, this same message. The same message that there's one source, that we are connected to that source, and it is our life's journey to come back full circle to that source again. And I don't know about you guys, and again, feel free to make your own decisions on this matter, but for me, it was very liberating. It allowed me to focus on what the heart of the teachings are, instead of all the do's and don'ts, have to's, got to's. I could tear away all those little messages and, disregard what could possibly be people's personal agendas, and I could get to the heart of what the messages are. And every single message comes back to the same thing. It comes back to love. All accepting, unconditional love. Love for every being on this planet, love for every human, love for all the gifts that have been provided for us naturally, no matter what creator you believe brought this about. And I'm going to talk about the science behind it too, because from what I have found out, of the 7 billion people in the world, about 33% of them, just over about 2 billion people, are followers of the Christian religion. Right behind that, at 21%, coming about, I would say around, probably around 1.5, 1.6 billion people of the 7 billion people on earth are followers of the Islam faith. So we've got half the world believing in 2 religions, practicing 2 religions that were started from the same source, believe in the same source, chose different words to explain it, have different practices because of different cultures, following different teachers because they have their own unique connection to them. But at the end of the day, it's all about loving other beings. So half the world is ascribed to religions that are kind of clashing in our society. Wars being fought over. Divisions being made. Families being divided. Countries being divided. One creator, one source, our life, a journey to get reconnected to this source, but yet because we're spelling it out black and white on pieces of paper, and we feel the need to defend that we're right, because as long as we are right, they are wrong, and as long as we are right, we can go back to the beginning of this workshop series. Our mind is searching to make sure that the world around us makes us right. And we will fight, and we will fight, and we will defend ourselves, and we'll use any means necessary to secure that rightness, because our mind has us convinced that if we're right, we are safe. One source, one message underlying it all, but all these divisions. What I'm going to ask is for this whole workshop just to be thinking about, and what I really want everyone to take away. I don't care which religion fits you best, and I don't care if there's not even a religion out there yet that does fit you. Whatever your spiritual beliefs, whatever your religious beliefs, whatever it is that internal guidance system that we were given naturally from this one source tells you to follow, practice it. Shift your focus from who's right, who's wrong, to practicing the message that was being shown. Practice these great leaders. Practice the same things that they taught. If you really look at it, Jesus was the great example. He showed us the way by his actions. He was kind to everyone on his path. He accepted people no matter of what they've been through in their life. And he strove every day that he walked this earth to be the example. If you take away the black and white printed pages, if you take away all the other mess that can get in the way and confuse things, and focus solely on being the example, being what is taught, I'm telling you, you will find your own truth. You will find your own truth. So I'm